Hi, good morning. Jill Wright Calendar, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck Picture Book, an educational program. Um, you have to excuse our background. We're getting some painting done, but I thought I'd get back with you with this last time that we met. I talked about the empathy issue that a teacher friend of mine had in her classroom. She said the children aren't really listening to each other, and it's really hard for some of them to understand each other. And we were talking about how important empathy is. And I mentioned, the Happy Little Garbage Truck really is a good book to bridge that gap from our personal relationships to reading a book about. It's always easier to read a book about a topic and then share different parts of why this character um, was able to make friends, or how they were able to. We are able to know how they might have felt in a different situation by looking at the expressions of the different people in the stories. So, as we were talking about that, I said, I've got to do a piece on empathy. I started last year talking about it to a certain extent, but it was part of another series. But as I reflected more and more, and I actually went to the bank in that same period of time, and the banker was asking me about my book because my company is the Happy Little Garbage Truck. And he says, "Oh, what's that about?" So I told him about the picture book story, and he said, "Oh, my daughter's just turning 1." And he says, empathy is so important. He says, I read about a study where they were teaching college students about empathy, and they gave them, actually, they didn't realize they were part of an experiment, but they were all given the topic of empathy to teach a class. And there were two groups. One group had to go in 5 minutes to the classroom and relay their information that they learned, and they dashed down the hallway, and part of the setup was there was somebody who apparently had fallen, their books were scattered, and hardly anybody, I think it was like one or two people, might have stopped for that person, showing empathy. Whereas the second group was given, you're going to present this next week. And they also went down the hallway, and like 80% of them helped the person who had fallen. And I said, so that it appears that, as we get older, the amount of empathy we show depends on how much time we feel that we can express that emotion or share that emotion, and actually do something that shows that we have empathy for a person. So that was intriguing to me. So I started looking up more information before we start talking about teaching empathy. But why is empathy so important? And of course, this little activity or experiment kind of shows that, oh, you can help other people. But there's this article that I put in my description box on 5 reasons why empathy is important. Let's see if I have that right. 5 reasons why empathy is important in relationships. So this, let me see, the article is written by Jenny Richardson, Rickardson. And so that's in the description box. But she gave 5 really good reasons, and that's what I'm going to touch on today. First, it helps a person develop a deep understanding of the other. And that's always the part of our individualism that is so difficult. The other, the person who's not like in our tribe, or not really our friends, but it helps us to be able to reach out like the person in the hallway and help someone, because we can understand, oh man, she fell. Maybe, I know how I feel. Let me help her. If she's hurt, maybe I can get help, or if she just needs somebody to help collect the books. So, it just brings you into connection with someone outside of yourself. And that's what we're trying to teach our children, to connect with others, because it really strengthens our self-esteem when we do so. She says it builds lasting relationships, and that's the outcome of the benefit of developing a deep understanding of other people. It builds stronger connections because you're building emotional closeness with someone, thinking how they might have thought, and even communicating. And I can see that you're feeling upset. Is that true? Or so you build the communication. You talk about it with that person, and it connects with the other person a little bit stronger because they can say, well, no, I'm not really upset. I'm just, a little tired, whatever. So communication's huge in empathy. And the relationships, the reason why communication is huge is because we can understand the needs of others. And that person might say, boy, and I needs of others. And that person might say, boy, and I can use a glass of water right now. And I says, okay, let me go and grab you one or a bottle of water. So as we understand the needs, as we are understanding the needs of others, we can actually facilitate what they might need to help them feel better. It may be something that we can do. It may be something that others can do, but we can actually be the conduit to help them gain that assistance that they might need. And then on a more specific level, it reduces conflict. And this is why I was really intrigued by this article, because in the classroom, a lot of bullying, I've read some specific articles, which I'll bring up later, it's caused by a child not really understanding what the other person's going through and demanding pretty much that the other person um, understands their needs instead of them reaching out and understanding the other person's needs, or being judgmental of why that person isn't like them and making that other person feel bad because they aren't being measured to their standard. So that causes a lot of bullying and also arguments on a general level. Children playing might be a toy or something in question. Instead of talking out the conflict, it may be that the conflict just escalates. So that's why empathy is truly needed in relationships. And then it builds resilience. That's the point that I want to get to in particular, because throughout our lives, we're going to have different things happen. And it may be something that takes you outside of your own comfort zone, but having empathy, we can encourage one another to rise to the occasion, to know that this too shall pass, as my mother used to always say. But helping our friends get through tough times, and then we in turn are encouraged by our friends during our challenges and our hurdles. So we're going to talk about more in detail of some of these pieces next time, and I look forward to looking into this. This is really good research for me because I'm able to connect it with my story as I'm reading to children, and that may. I think I have a date coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm really eager to get the empathy component in more uh, explain it in a more tangible way to my younger audiences. So you're helping me. Thank you. So we'll talk later, and thank you so much for attending this really quick talk. It's a little bit longer than my normal ones, but look at the description box. I have that link to that cartoon that I had 2 weeks ago mentioned, and also the link to this article. Have a really wonderful day and take care. And we just I really appreciate you. Please subscribe. Please share.